Good evening. And today I do not have a sports update other than the New York Jets are playing my wife's team on Sunday. So you can just imagine the situation that's going to occur in my household over the weekend, especially if the Vikings beat the Jets, which should happen. So pray for me. And with that, good evening. The Dolores County Broadcasting Network presents the DCTV 4-H Evening News Program for Wednesday, October 17th, 2018, with camera people Bobby Joe and Daniel Faulkner. Video engineer and producer, Edward. Sound engineer, Dan. Teleprompter and prompter, Myra. News anchors are Maddie and Devin. Meteorologist, Hannah Faulkner. And this is your news director, Dan, saying, here now, the news.
It's DCTV 4-H Kids Evening Show. Help us keep our news show on the air by becoming a sponsor. You can buy a sponsorship by calling 970-677-4119. That's 970-677-4119. Now for the news. Hi, I am Maddie, and here is our first story from the Denver Post. Colorado woman victim of California skydiving accident. Officials say Colorado woman was killed in a weekend skydiving accident Central California. The San Juan County Sheriff's Office says 62-year-old Nina Lowry Mason of Dillon, Colorado, died Sunday when her parachute failed to open at the Lowry Parachute Center, about 160 kilometers east of San Francisco. The Sacramento Bee reported Monday that Federal Aviation Administration investigators were examining her backpack and parachute. Bill Dossi, owner of the Center of Mason, was jumping with her husband. The paper says at least 20 skydivers using the Central have died in jumps since 1981. The FBI radiated the Central in January following several similar fatalities over the last couple of years. The result of not being announced, and the FBI declined comment. The following comment is from our program director, but she also likes to ride in hot air balloons. So go figure. What kind of idiot jumps out of a perfectly good airplane? Now for Devin with this story from the Devin. Lisa Kudrow will enter will enter Denver's mayor's race to challenge Michael Hancock, and she is already suing him. Lisa Kudrow, co-chair of the Colorado Latino Forum in the Denver and a longtime community advocate in North Denver, will join the field of challengers to Mayor Michael Hancock in Denver's May 2019 election. Until recently, she was the director of the Community Reentry Program in project in the program that reoriented people as they left local jails, and she has served on the city and state boards to address justice issues. Being born in Denver and seeing how much the city has changed for better and for worse, I just felt like our voices weren't being heard and that we were at a critical moment at a crossroads in Denver. Caldron says in a interview Monday morning, so I kept waiting for the candidate to emerge that I would support, who's represented my values and concerns about affordable housing and women issues, and concerns about the cultural proposition in our city, and I realized I was waiting for me. Her career mission has been to address the root causes of social problems, to include domestic violence, mass incarcerations, homelessness, mental illness, and substance abuse, according to her companion. But the overwatched theme, she said, will be housing. I feel like the city has not prioritized a housing first model when you attend our housing needs, and then all of the other issues are auxiliary to that, she said. Caldron is a consistent presence at rallies and community meetings calling for reforms to Denver's jail. Its police officers use force and more this year. She used more. She sued the city, alleging that Hancock's administration had intentionally shut her organization out of the contract to run the re-entry program former inmates instead of handing it over to another city. Officials denied that Her companion announced pointed also to her education, including a law degree from CU Boulder, a doctorate in education from CU Denver. The candidate said that Hancock's lascivious text message to Detective Leslie Branch Wise were another sign that it was time for a change. Hancock's acknowledged sending the text but denied Branch Wise description for the text harassment. Now from its story from the Denver Post.
8,000 signed petition to keep Denver Zoo's polar bears Lee and Cranberry together. More than 8,000 members of an international animal advocacy group having signed a petition asking Denver Zoo officials not to separate Cranberry and Lee and instead send them to the same sanctuary so they can remain together. For 6 years, Cranberry and Lee have lived together at the Denver Zoo, and making the looks of it, the two have gotten quite close. The Care to petition says while Cranberry is at least being sent to Alaska where polar bears are actually found naturally, she will still be held in a captivity, living a sad, stressful life thousands of miles away from her friend Lee. But Denver Zoo spokesman Jake Kirby said it would be erroneous to compare human to polar bear emotions that often portray in pop culture, including Coke commercials. Polar bears are mostly solitary animals. QB said, although Cranberry and Lee has been acquainted, they mostly occupy the same sanctuary for 6 weeks, 2 months of the year. Care 2 launched its petition after news broke that the Denver Zoo would be separating the bonded polar bears and sending them to different zoos. Polar bears are built to roam and forage for food. The Care 2 petition says, and are capable of surviving extreme cold, disease, and competition with rivals, but in captivity, all those natural instincts are suppressed. Cranberry, a 16-year-old female, will leave the Denver Zoo later this month to go to Alaska Zoo in Anchorage. Lee, her 18-year-old mate, will go later this fall to a Columbus Zoo and aquarium in Ohio, QB said. He added that the decision to transfer the polar bears was based on a recommendation of the Association of Zoos and Aquarium Species Survival Plan. Zoos leaders are committed to bring polar bears back to Denver, but they first must raise the funds to build a new exhibit. Part of the reason Lee and Cranberry are being separated is because they have been together for 6 years and not produced any cubs, QB said. Currently, there are only 44 polar bears in North America zoos, and the species face increased threats in the wild. He said the zoo is separating the polar bears out of love for the animals and hope for their survival, QB said. Next up, a story in the Durango Herald. Durango native Tyler Gann, formerly Taylor Perry, and her newlywed husband Brandon Gann were playing putt-putt golf September 30th in Oklahoma City before leaving for their honeymoon in the Bahamas when they heard a scream. The scream was coming from a man who had fallen into the Breaktown Canal, according to a statement from the family. Brandon took immediate actions and jumped into the canal to save the man's life. The man was later identified as Wesley Seasley. But unknown to the newlyweds, the canal was pulsing with electrical current from a nearby faulty light post. They wrote an email to the Durango Herald describing the event. Brandon Gannon and Sealy were both electrocuted. Sealy did not survive the shock, and Gannon was unconscious without oxygen for an extended period of time, the family wrote. He was taken to the University of Oklahoma Medical Center in critical condition. Gannon was unconscious, the intensive care unit, for many days with Taylor by his side. It seems unlikely that Brandon would survive, the family wrote. The two met in fall of 2015 in Van Buren, Arkansas. Taylor Gannon, 25, graduating from Durango High School in 2012. She traveled around for work before meeting Brandon, 31. She still had family in Durango who lived there seasonally. Despite his condition after falling in electrified water, Taylor's husband survived the shock and was released from intensive care unit. The newlyweds are now back together in Fort Smith, Arkansas. The Gannons said the incident was unavoidable. The conditions around the canal were highly dangerous, poisoning, and excessive and unnecessary risk, they wrote in their email to the Durango Herald. The area was not maintained, and a high-voltage light post had wires that were not grounded and that were not secure, they wrote. Oklahoma City officials originally said the lamppost was not properly grounded, but later backtracked and said the light post was properly grounded, according to the Oklahoma man. Despite our earlier statement, the bollards that our chief electrician inspector examined yesterday were grounded and properly connected to the fixtures, Oklahoma City spokeswoman Chrissy Yeager said in the statement to Oklahoma man. The Gannons questions that could have been done to prevent the tragedy and what will be done now to ensure something similar doesn't happen again. Who was responsible? The family asked. and why were dangerous conditions allowed to persist. Brandon and Tyler lives will never be the same. The family wrote what should have been a joyous time quickly turned into a nightmare. What should have been cherished memories are instead painful reminders, now with dumb laws. In Athens, Clark County, on Monday is illegal for one to whistle very loudly after 11 p.m. You may not get drunk on a bus. Alabama's slingshots may not be used in city limits. No one may bathe in Sandy Creek Lake. In Atlanta, it is against the law to tie a giraffe to a telephone pole or a street lamp. In Columbus, no one may practice the business of tattooing on Sunday. It is illegal to carve your initials into a tree even if it's on your own property. While airplanes may be flown so long as they stay on either private property or city property adjacent to the county morgue. Blowguns are not allowed to be used within the city limits. Cussing over the phone is against the law. No one may tease an idiot. It is illegal to wear a hat in a movie theater. Crosses may be burned on someone else's property so long as you have their permission. To swim in any pond in the city, one must wear a suitable bathing suit. Barber shops may not open on Sundays, Wednesday in the city limits. Now here's the weather report with Hannah.
Our current weather data comes from the DCTV weather station located in the beautiful downtown Dove Creek. The current temperature is 46 degrees. The high for today was 51 degrees. The low was 35 degrees. The barometer is at 30.20 inches and is falling. Humidity is at 72%. Wind is between 1 and 5 miles per hour from the northwest. Gusts have been up to 26 miles per hour. There were 0.13 of an inch of rain measured today by the DCTV weather station. Moisture for the month is 1 inch and 99 hundredths. Moisture accumulation for the year 6 inches and 89 hundredths. Now for the big map, courtesy of the National Weather Service. The Pacific Northwest is clear and most of the west also. There is rain on all four corners. The pink shaded area in New Mexico indicates the possibility of freezing rain. Texas and Louisiana up into Oklahoma and Arkansas, there is rain. More rain is falling from East Ohio into New Jersey and out into the Atlantic than there is Maine. Florida is also getting rain coming from the South Carolina coast, leaving a small area of clear land in central Florida before dumping it into the southern tip. Here is our exclusive DCTV 5-day forecast. Thursday, rain showers, high 50, low 35. Friday, mostly sunny, high 57, low 36. Saturday, mostly sunny, high 59, low 39. Sunday, partly sunny, high 59, low 40. Monday, partly sunny, high 57, low 41. Now for a climate change report. CO2, carbon dioxide, is considered a greenhouse gas and is one of the principal causes of climate change. CO2 traps heat in the atmosphere, which causes climate instability. The result is significant variations worldwide of moisture and hot and cold temperatures. But the general climate trend is that the planet is slowly warming. Therefore, it is important that we report the CO2 weekly change. The following are the CO2 numbers in parts per million. Last week, 405.58. 2 weeks ago, 405.5. Last year, 403.38. 10 years ago, 382.78. 50 years ago, 320.25. Thank you, Dr. Peter Tanz of the National Oceanographic Atmospheric Administration and Michael McGee of CO2.Earth Network for providing this information. Remember, you can help keep our kids' news show on air by buying a sponsorship. To buy a sponsorship, just call 970-677-4119. That's 970-677-4119. Now back to your news director.
And that's the end of today's DCTV 4-H Evening News Program. This is your news director who is hoping that we don't have issues in the household over the Jets and the Vikings game this Sunday. So good night and thank you for watching.